Hi, I'm Stuart from Infinite Fire Music. Thanks for visiting my brand new website, which I'm hoping to fill with music I've made, tutorials and tips on how I made it, and interesting insights from along the way. This is the first little tutorial I've done, so bear with me. Check out my Twitter feed at @InfiniteFires as well, where I'm trying to post a daily synth tip for folk in 140 characters. Search for the daily synth tip hashtag. Okay, so this video will show you how to make a pretty awesome big fat lead stroke pad synth, which fills the audio spectrum with sonic goodness. This is what it's going to sound like. Pretty cool, huh? This one is an unusual patch because it's not a typical lead that cuts through the mix. It's filled out with a sweeping pad sound that sits beneath the main sound. It's big and bold, and it's just the kind of sound that I'm interested in for my Infinite Fire project. My first few full tracks will be uploaded soon, so stay tuned. I'll be using Reason 4 for this synth, as you can see. It's awesomely powerful and really intuitive to use, so I use that and Propellerhead Record to sketch most stuff out before polishing in Pro Tools 8. Right, let's get cracking with my massive lead synth. Let's start with a combinator. I'm just going to move all of these clips over to the new combinator here. I'll take that down and we'll get rid of the original. So we've got one to start with here that's blank. Right click in that and create a line mixer 6:2. Then right click and create two Maelstrom grain table synthesizers. There's one and there's the other. The Maelstrom is an often overlooked synth, especially in Reason 4, where the god of thunder, Thor, now rules. But it's unique and very powerful, and great for creating original sounds quickly, like this one. It's a grain table synth, which is a special kind of synthesizer. Grain tables use samples broken up into grains to drive their oscillators, rather than the more common waveforms. So while there will usually be a sample of, for example, a sawtooth or a square wave included, a grain table synth will also allow you to build a patch incorporating orchestral or string samples, for example. Think of it as a cross between a synthesizer and a sampler, if you like. This makes it very useful for combining sounds, layering them up within one virtual instrument to create leads that build into a pad sound as you hold the key down, for example. That kind of flexibility is what I love about Reason. So next up, let's right-click on each of these and initialize patch to reset all the parameters. The first Maelstrom is going to provide our primary lead sound. Set oscillator A to a sawtooth 4 setting. Just scroll down for that. This is actually 4 sawtooth samples layered on top of one another. Then activate oscillator B, scroll down and select sawtooth 16, which you guessed it, oh, I missed that one, which you guessed it is actually 16 sawtooth waves layered up and nicely detuned. Turn the octave on oscillator B down one, and already we'll have, let's mute the second one, already we'll have quite a nice thick cutting lead sound. Make sure the sustain is up fully on both. Send them both through with these two lights here to filter B. We'll leave it on a low pass filter, but turn the frequency dial all the way up. We're going to assign our mod wheel to that later. Send filter B through to the shaper. Set saturate mode and set the amount at around 85, 86. That'll add a considerable amount of distortion to our sound. Then it's going through to filter A, and again turn the filter frequency dial all the way up and have a quick listen. Nice, getting bigger. That's stage 1 complete. Now let's focus on our second Maelstrom. We'll unmute it up here. For oscillator A, let's select ambient chord 1. It's a slightly eerie pad sample, constructed from hollow sounding square waves, it sounds like. There you go. You can hear that through my computer speakers. Turn on oscillator B and set this one to sweeping saw. You have to scroll down a little bit. There he is. And we'll turn the octave up 1 on that. And this is going to swirl around on the top of our patch. It's already filter modulated by an LFO from the sounds of it. Send both of these oscillators through to filter B. Leave it on low pass. Turn the frequency up fully. Ignore the shaper this time, but filter A, let's have the frequency at around, not all the way up, but around 96, 97. Now we'll move over to the mod wheel section on the left. This tells our synth what you want your modulation wheel or performance wheel to control. I want it to control the filters so that I can create big filter builds with this massive synth. So let's turn these filter knobs here all the way down to the left. Now if you play some notes and move your performance wheel, you'll be able to see the effect that now has. You can see those wheels moving there, and it's bringing in the filter. This technique is used all the time in dance music to bring in lead sounds and to keep the mix moving and dynamic. But I've noticed that the balance of these two synths isn't quite right. The sweeping saw of the second one is overwhelming the mix. So let's turn the level of the second Maelstrom down to about 80 in the line 6.2 mixer. That's our synths pretty much set up, but do feel free to experiment with other settings, obviously. The sound is already pretty cool, but I want it to be much thicker and bigger. So let's apply some EQ. Hold down Shift and create an equalizer. Holding down Shift means it isn't automatically routed to anything. And then let's adjust this by pulling the mixer down into the synth, and then we'll take the equalizer, and then the equalizer straight up into the combinator like that. And I'm just going to drag this up to the top so that the signal chain is a little more logical. Let's take out all the subsonic bottom end by applying the low cut and turn on parameter 1. Set the frequency at around 170. We're going to boost some of the bass frequencies in this. And we're going to boost them quite a lot, about 9.7. Widen the Q to about 4.4. That'll bring out the big bottom end of the patch, the pad part. Now we'll turn on parameter 2 and boost the frequencies around 2.3 kilohertz. Again, by a considerable amount, about 9 decibels. With a Q, widen it out to about 3.5. That'll really highlight some of the more resonant frequencies that will cut through the mix. Can you hear the difference? Yes, much better. We'll turn on the high shelf as well. Let's raise that gain by about 4.6. The Q's fine. That'll just add a little fizz to the top end. Now we want to widen the sound, so we'll right click on the equalizer and create an M-class stereo imager. Set the crossover at around 363. Turn the low band down to around -50. That'll keep the low end of the patch quite mono. Keep it right in the centre of the mix. But we want to widen everything above that 363 Hz by about 39. So we'll really fill the spectrum here. This will be a patch that can be used on its own for a massive build or intro, but it's not really designed to have lots of other elements fitted on top of it in the mix. There just won't be room. Next up, let's limit this signal and make it as loud, as powerful as possible. Right click, create an M-class maximizer. Turn the input gain up by about 5. And there we have it. A big, massive lead or plead patch. Nice. But there's one more element to add to really make this fill the mix and glue all those elements together. Right click on the mixer. We're going to create a send effect here. We're going to create RV 7000 advanced reverb. There we go. We will select the all film score patch, which is pretty nice and wide. We want a touch of reverb on the first Maelstrom, around 26 here on the aux knob, but we're going to have lots of it on the second one. Let's whack that up to about 86. I'm going to really glue it all together. And there we have it. Fantastic. An awesome lead sound padded out with ambient chords and swirling, sweeping sawtooth waves, and all without a lot of complex routing, thanks to Maelstrom's amazing sample-based technology. Have a play with this patch and your mod wheel and see what atmospheric builds you can create. As an example, here's a short passage I've added into the sequencer with automated mod wheel action that I'll definitely be using in an Infinite Fire song very soon. Pretty nice. You can imagine some big trancey drums coming into that. Thanks for listening. Do post your comments